Hey guys, this is Bruno from OptimumG, and today I'm going to take you through the steps from creating your project to importing your tire data and feeding your tire model in OptimumTire2. So I have here a blank project created, and you can see on the left that we have the toolboxes. So the way that the buttons here are displayed is mainly the order that you're going to use them from top to bottom. So first of all, I'm going to have to create a new tire. So I'm going to name it tire A, and then the tire window will appear. Everything that you see here is informational only, so it's not going to use anywhere else in the software to calculate your tire model or something. But it's good to have some information about which tire the data is coming from, so which compound does it have or something like that. So now I'm ready to import my tire data. So I can come here to the left side of the screen and click on import, and then I have a cropped free rolling data here, and then the importing data window will appear. So now I can set my data separator. This file is a depth separated value file, so that's correct. But if you have a CSV, for example, you can set it to comma, and then you can set the data indexes. So the software will automatically try to find the indexes, but since I don't have a units row here, it couldn't find one, so I have to manually say to the software to skip it and set the data start row. And then if you click on next, you're gonna see all the channels that were detected. So if you have a wrong column separator here, so for example, let's set to comma, you can see that the channels were not detected. They're all under one channel. So that's a good way to know if your data is being imported successfully. So let's go back and set it to tab. And then I can set to import or not any channels. I can change the display names and the units. And I can also auto assign the default channels from OptimumTire2 and uncheck the non-default channels. So if I go to the right here, you can see that MZ and pressure are being imported, but for example, these temperature channels are not. So if this configuration is one that repeats for multiple tires, I can save this configuration and reuse it every time, so I don't have to manually set the units for each channel or to import or not the channels every time. So for example, I can come back here and load the configuration that I have. So the free rolling template import. And then you can see that some channels are already skipped and some channels, the units are different. So if I click on import, it's gonna tell me that some default channels are not being imported, and that's fine. I don't need to use them at this time. And then it's gonna ask me to put that data under some tire. So now I have my tire data window here open with my cropped free rolling data, and I can plot, for example, normal load and pressure, and I can see my tire data on the right side of the screen. So now I can do some things in this screen. So I can, for example, change my coordinate system. I can crop my data, and to crop it, I can manually set the indexes to crop, or I can use filters. So if I come here and create a new filter, I can set, for example, pressures that are higher than 170 kPa, and you're gonna see that the red highlighted part of the data is gonna be cropped out. So for example, let's crop it, and I can create a new one or modify the existing data. And if I now plot the pressure, you're gonna see that the pressures range from 157 to 164, and all the data that had pressures higher than 170 are cropped out. So now I can also bin the data. So I can come here to the binning wizard, and the way that the binning works is it separates the data into different containers. This is gonna help for collapsing later and also for plotting. So whenever two adjacent points from the data set have a difference higher than the threshold, the software creates a new bin. So these are some values that we know works for most of the tire data that we work with. And you can see all the bins that were created and the size of it. So If you can see here, most of them are around 1100 data points, and the ones from the end are around 470. So that's going to be important for collapsing. After binning, we can come to the collapsing, and then I can set a new bin size. So the way that the collapsing works is going to reduce your data set to a smaller size, so you don't need to use a lot of computational power doing the fitting. So for example, here I can set it to 80, and then I can set my sweep channel. Since this is free rolling, I'm gonna set it to a slip angle, and you can see the data size before collapsing is around 46,000, and after collapsing, and it's that fast, it's around 4,000 data points. I can apply it, and then I have a new data set which is collapsed, and I can plot it. And you can see that the main information from the data is kept. It's just on a smaller size. So I have my pressures around 160,000 and 180,000, and I have all my forces and everything. So here you have also some other features such as merge and export, and some settings for the plot. So now I'm ready to create my tire model. So if I come here to the left, I can create a new tire model. I'm gonna name it MF612, and then I'm gonna select the magic formula 612. So these are the tire models that we currently have. Once you select them, it's gonna give you a brief description of what the tire model is. And then whenever I create it, it's gonna open the tire model window. So on the left side here, you can see all the model coefficients. You can filter them. For example, if I want to see only the lateral ones, these are all the lateral coefficients. You can see that they are all zeroed out. That's because we never fitted this tire model. So this is a brand new tire model. And show all, I can search for them. I can also, if I have a TIR file, I can import the coefficients from that TIR file, or I can import the TIR file. So if the importing of a TIR file is not working, sometimes that changes because of the format of the files, I can come here and import only the coefficients. So I can export also the coefficients, and I have a dynamic coefficient change feature, which I'm gonna show you on a later video. On the right side here, I have the model properties, and I can check the model type, the coordinate system, and the wheel orientation. I can also set the sanity checks to use force or ignore. So the sanity checks are some values in the magic formula equations that have to be between a range. For example, let's say it has to be between 0 and 1. So if it calculates to 2, it's gonna invalidate the tire model if you're using the sanity checks. If it's ignoring, it's gonna ignore, it's gonna keep calculating. And if it's force and it calculates to 2, a value that should be between 0 and 1, it's gonna force it to 1. Or if it's -1, it's gonna force it to 0. I can also set the turn slip to enable or not, and I can verify the model will error with the data. So I haven't fitted the model, so it doesn't make sense to verify it yet, but we're gonna do it later. So once we have our tire model and our tire data, we're ready to fit. Remember to set some of these values. For example, if you have an ordered radius or your velocity for the data, you can set it here before fitting. And then we can come to the fitting wizard. So the way the fitting wizard works is that you create fitting jobs. So you can schedule all your models to be fitted, and then you can click play, and you can go do other stuff while the software is fitting all your models. And then you can also later reuse your fitting jobs to fit newer models. So I'm gonna now create a new fitting job. I'm gonna name it F1 here. Then I can select which tire model. I'm gonna select the collapsed tire data. And then the fitting job widget is gonna appear. So here I can set the evaluation function. I'm gonna set it to F1 here. I can set the error calculation method. I can set the weight functions. So these are very interesting because you can add, for example, a new weight function, and I'm gonna call it simple. And then I can open it. And the way that the weight functions work is that you set a higher priority for a range of the data that your model should be more accurate. So for example, if my model should be more accurate around 180,000 kilopascals of pressure, I can set the weight value to 1. And if I don't care as much about the 160,000, I can to 0.5. So that is very useful if, for example, you were more interested in the linear part of your tire model or not, or in the peak part of the slip angle. You can use this to minimize the error around that area. And we also have an advanced weight function. Create one here. And with the advanced weight function, it's two-dimensional. So let's say I'm more interested in my model to be accurate at higher normal loads, at higher slip angles, and at low normal loads at low slip angles, but at higher normal loads with low slip angles that don't care as much. You can also do it here. So you would set 1 to the range that you care about, and 0.5, 0.2, or whatever to the range that you don't care as much. So I'm not gonna use any weight functions here just to simplify the process. And then I can come to the algorithm settings. So we have 3 presets, and I can set my number of processes depending on your CPU. But if I understand about generic algorithm, I can set the generic algorithm properties that I want. So for example, the population size, mutation rate, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna leave it unbalanced. And then I can come to the boundaries, which are the most important part of this finite. So for example, I can set the lateral coefficients here, and I can select them and add them all. So the software is only gonna change the coefficients that you tell the software to change, and between the range that you tell the software to change. So that's why we had this software, the boundaries here. I can set a lower limit, an upper limit, and I can set the limit type. So if it's soft, it can go out of the range, but if it's hard, it's gonna keep between that range. And I can also use templates. So the software comes with templates for MF and PAC 2002, and these are meant to be used as a starting point. We also use these templates for some of our consulting projects, but you always have to tweak them to your application. So we can see that some values are already set here, and then I can click OK, and I'm ready to fit. If I want, I can create new fitting jobs, and it's gonna add them to my list. And you can see that there's an error here. That's because we didn't set the boundaries. So that's the most common error that we get in the fitting wizard, is because we forgot to set our boundaries. It's not gonna let us fit without the boundaries, but I'm only gonna fit FYP here now. And on the right side, you're gonna have a live preview of the model being fitted. So here you can see in green our tire data, and if I click play, you can see in red the tire model, and the line between them is basically the error. And then on the bottom side here, you can see the selection pressure and the fitting values that's related to the generic algorithm. So you know that you're getting a good convergence when the fitting values go near 0 and the selection pressure go near 1. So now I have my model fitted. I can come back, and if you check, for example, your lateral coefficients, you can see that they're not zeroed out anymore. Okay, so now I have my model fitted. So I can come back to the main screen, and I can select the lateral coefficients, and you can see that the coefficients are not zeroed out anymore. So with that, I can create a new blank plot and create a FYSA. And then I can plot my tire data as well as my tire model. So I'm missing tire model here. What has happened? We need to tell the software which inputs are going to be used to plot that tire model. So for example, which inclination angle, which pressures, which normal loads. And that's gonna act as a filter for the tire data. So you can analyze both at the same values, and it's gonna colorize at the same values as well. So now we don't have the input filters activated, so I can activate here. and you can see that the model is being plotted, but the data not, because our inputs doesn't correspond with the tire data. So the easy way is, if you have binned the data, you can copy the inputs from the binned data, but you can also manually set here. I'm gonna copy the inputs from the binned data. I binned our raw data here, and it's gonna override all my inputs. That's fine. And now we can see that the data and the model are being shown. It's a bit cramped. So first of all, I'm gonna change my color mapping to saturation on the second dimension. So I can come here and remove some of this. And I can remove some of the normal loads. This one. And then I can visualize my data here. There's still some pressures. Not slip, just one pressure. Yeah. So you can compare your tire data and your tire model like this. So for the same FZ and inclination angle, the colors are the same. And if you click here, it's gonna show some information about your tire data or your tire model. So that's a walkthrough showing the basic features of OptimumTire2. Keep following our social media. We're gonna release some videos, some tips and tricks videos about features that we haven't mentioned here. We also provide 2 other softwares, which are Optimum Kinematics, and you can optimize and design your suspension there, and Optimum Lab, which is a point mass simulation system. Optimum Lab is free of charge. I'm gonna have the link in the description below. We provide consulting too, so everything you need to create and design your vehicle suspension, you can contact us. And we have some seminars. So we have the Applied Vehicle Dynamics seminar and the Data-Driven Performance Engineering one. You can check the calendar on the description below, and until the next video.